Here's how starting an agency will actually help you get girls. And no, I am not talking about all the money that you are going to make. It's something else. So trust me on this and watch this video out. So let's get into it. If you're watching this video, I know one thing to be true. It's that you have no girlfriend. Come on. But starting an agency can change all of that for you. I mean this, seriously. So, before we get into this, I've had a lot of people ask me to share my Riz Masterclass. So, this is going to be a little teaser to what is to come in the future. Yeah, as you can see here, this has been pretty hyped up. So, let's get you laid so you can actually get a girl and make some money at the same time. So, I'm going to share with you the whys and then the hows. So that way you get both ends of the spectrum on why it gets you girls and then how it can get you girls. So, why it helps you get girls is because you learn how to get rejected. Okay, that's the main thing, is you learn to get rejected, which is important. Number 2 is you learn how to influence people to make them like you. Okay, that's another thing you learn, which is super important. Number 3 is you learn proper speaking capabilities so you can communicate things to other people, specifically the girl you want to get. Number 4 is you learn the true meaning of what people say, and you learn how to understand what people are actually trying to say, right? So oftentimes people say one thing but they mean another. When running an agency and taking sales calls, you start to understand the true meaning of what people are actually saying, which will really help you out. And then number 5 is you learn how to make them happy. Okay? And this goes for clients and for girlfriends and for people in general. And the last little thing is you learn how to build a lot of discipline, right? Which is crucial for anything in this world. Now, let's talk about the hows, right? That was why it'll get you a girlfriend. Here's how. Well, when doing anything cold door knocking, okay, cold DMs, cold emails, cold calling, it directly correlates to the skills that you're going to learn when cold approaching a girl. The reason for this is when you cold DM or when you cold call, you learn how to start up a conversation to create curiosity and have people want to listen longer and speak with you further. And this is super important when going up to a girl. Right? And if there's one thing we know from sending DMs is if you send the same thing that every other person has always sent, people are instantly going to turn you down because you're not creative. There's no curiosity being built. So if there's one thing to take away from this, it's that being unique, being creative will spark curiosity, which will make them interested and eager to talk further with you, alongside many other little skills, but that is just one of the things that cold DMs will actually help you with, or cold anything in cold approaching / cold DMing girls, right? Cold DMing clients versus girls, same kind of concept. We want to be unique, we want to be different, we want to get them to open the message, right? We shouldn't ask them for a date off the get-go. We want to warm them up, right? We want to start to ask questions, build a bit of rapport. Right? You see the similarities here, right? You wouldn't ask a prospect for a Zoom call on the first message, so don't ask a girl to go on a date on the first message. Ask a question to spark conversation, go from there. Same concept, right? Now, let's go to the second one, is showing up every single day. When you show up every single day to your business, it shows that you are committed, right? Which not only helps you physically, right? Like let's say with your body, right? With let's say perhaps going to the gym, etc. It shows that you can commit to a single thing, which, as we know, when having a girlfriend, this will be crucial. Maybe you don't want a girlfriend, then this doesn't apply to you. But let's move on to number 3, which is appointment setting. Learning how to appointment set is exactly the same as learning how to get dates. And what I mean by this is when we set appointments, like when we book Zoom calls, there must be an equal exchange of value, right? Like both sides of the party must feel like they're getting something out of this. The same way as a date must have both parties feeling like they are winning. Right? For example, if you're going to pay for the girl's dinner, she feels like she's winning because she's getting a free dinner. On the other hand, you feel like you're winning because you went out for a beautiful dinner with a beautiful girl. Right? So it's like we have to make sure that the value is there to reason with people why they're giving up their time to go on the date with us in the first place. The same with appointment setting, right? Like when we set appointments, just asking for a Zoom call out of nowhere will yield us nothing because we have provided no value. But if we can reason with the prospect, right, a reasonable, valuable exchange of measures that we could give in order for them to give us some time, they'll be much more likely to hop on a call. For example, if you tell the prospect, hey man, listen, let's hop on a quick 5-minute chat and I'll share with you the entire system that I used to give other prospect this crazy result, you can even take it and apply it yourself after, by all means do that. Would that be worth a 5-minute chat for you? Right? Boom. That is like, it makes sense for them to give up 5 minutes of their time to learn more about the system that you've used to make other people money. The same way for dates, it's like you have to make sure that you reason with the girl logically or emotionally, whatever you want to do, that there's value in her showing up to this date. Right? And the best way we can do that is by building rapport and giving her a reason to go in the first place. Right? So if you're going out for a nice dinner, she gets a nice dinner. That's a pretty good reason to go on a date. Right? Now, let's move on to number 4, is sales. There's a lot of things that you can learn, a lot of transferable skills you can learn from sales, but 2 of the most important ones are probably your influence and the likability. Right? When you, during sales, you learn a lot of good speaking skills, you learn a lot of good objection handling, you learn a lot of good things, you learn how to ask questions, right? You learn how to listen, which is a huge thing. Scratch everything I wrote here. Literally, if there's one thing to take away from sales, it's learning how to listen properly. Because a girl could talk for hours, and if you can just listen actively, she will love you forever. Okay, so remember that. Literally write that down. But one of the biggest things in sales is like influence. Learn how to influence people, right? And you do this by listening to what they say and listening very carefully and using that later down the line. So that's one of the biggest things. And then you can make them like you by using what they said. But one of the things I didn't write down, which I already just said, okay, is make sure you're listening. Like, actually listening is one of the biggest things you learn when you start taking sales calls and when you run an agency, is you have to listen to your prospects. What do your prospects want? What do they struggle with? What have they tried in the past, etc., etc., etc.? And then you can then use that and show the prospect that, hey, I care. I listen to you. Blah, 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 blah. Which, in both cases, girls and prospects will get them to love you. Because people love being listened to. Because nobody listens anymore in this world. Right? So people love being listened to, right? This is why people love to talk, myself included. So thank you for listening if you're listening to this. I appreciate it. Now, let's move down the line to the next one, which is service delivery. Now, this is a bit far-fetched, but service delivery is much like marriage. What I mean by this is over time, if you are not actively adjusting and changing and adapting your service delivery to fit what the market is doing, your clients will drop you. In the same way that in a marriage, if you aren't always, showing that same kind of love and compassion and whatever that when you first started dating, you will eventually get divorced. Okay, because shit gets boring. And so if there's one thing to take away from service deliveries, we need to have good communication. We need to stay on top of the market. We need to make sure that we are always proactively looking at ways that we can improve and become better and be of more value to the person, whether this is your prospect or your girlfriend. Okay, so I know this is a bit far-fetched, but just understand that service delivery is much like marriage. Okay, it's like we got to communicate with our prospects, we got to communicate with our wife, right? We got to make sure that we are changing and always trying to be better, right? Whether we're running ads and always adjusting the creatives and blah blah blah, or whether we married a girl, we're always working on ourselves, not just being complacent, right? So I guess the takeaway from this is don't be complacent. Always strive to become better. Now, let's look at the next one, which is kind of funny, but it's actually very true. Your profile optimization, right? So the analogy to this is your appearance, right? Your physical appearance. Your profile is your digital appearance, right? Everybody knows that. Like, your profile is literally your digital appearance. And why do we want to post good pictures? Why do we want to have a good profile picture, a good bio, a lot of followers, etc., etc., etc.? Because it gives us status, right? It gives us a good appearance, a good first impression. Same way that our appearance does in real life, right? Like, we need to make sure we had a nice haircut, or trim your beard, or put on deodorant, or put on cologne, and dress nicely, and hit the gym, and go on a good diet, etc., etc., etc. So all the things you do for your profile optimization should be the same that you should do for your appearance, right? We should try and look better in every regard that we can, because we got to understand that optimizing ourselves is the same as optimizing our profile. And so what we start to realize is that when we have an agency and we optimize our profile for prospects to interact with us, we can start to learn the same with our appearance. Maybe we understand that, hey, listen, if I were all black, throw a hood up, and cross my arms, nobody will be willing to talk to me because I look like a very disinclusive person. But if I'm very open, and let's say I'm wearing bright colors, and I'm wearing a nice fitted t-shirt, okay, and I'm wearing no sunglasses, people seem much more likely to want to have a conversation with me. Okay, you see how we're learning, and we're adapting, and we're adjusting to certain situations. So the lessons you take from optimizing your profile to get people to respond to you can be the same lessons you can use for your appearance, right? Like, understanding that the more presentable we look, the more open we look, the more kind we look, the more likely people will be to have a conversation with us, okay? And obviously like us, if you got big muscles, good for you. Let's look at the last thing, case studies. wait a second, maybe we don't want case studies when we have a girlfriend, because that would be bad. But that is a few, not all, but a few reasons as to why starting an agency will actually help you get girls. Like, these are direct skills, and that will directly transfer over into you getting girls, right? Like, not to mention all the confidence this builds up, the money you make, right? The discipline you get, the mental stamina, like a lot of these other things that you build just inherently from building a business will help you get girls. But here are some like actionable or actual things you can look at, and the transferable skills that it'll help you with, right? So it's like, if we look at appointment setting, it's like, oh shoot, the reason why no girl is going on dates with me, or the reason why no girl is closing, or however you want to look at it, right, is because I'm not building up enough rapport. They don't know enough about me to even want to say yes in the first place, right? Like, you wouldn't ask a super cold prospect to hop on a call with you, the same way that you wouldn't ask a girl you've never ever met before to go on a date, because it's too much of a bridge to jump to make them say yes. We got to build up a bit of rapport first to build up some trust to make them interested and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'd like to learn more. I'd like to have a conversation with you. I'd like to chat with you, etc., etc., etc. So there's a lot of things that we can start to compare and go, oh, this is very much the same. With that being said, I will leave you with this. This is just a little snippet of perhaps a big Riz masterclass to come in the future, but I thought this is worth sharing with you all, so that perhaps next time you're sending cold DMs, instead of sitting there, you know, like hating yourself, you can think, aha, I'm building up skills, so the next time I go to chat to a girl, I will have built up X amount of skills, so I'll be better at Y. Okay, so what you're doing for your agency might just help you get girls, and I hope that this was a good realization to that all. If you like this video, go watch the video on screen. I'm sure you'll love that one as well. Peace.